Sylvester Stallone's name represents more than fame or action films. It symbolizes resilience in its purest form. His journey is not the story of instant success, but of persistence forged through hardship. Stallone's life reflects the universal struggle of being underestimated, misunderstood, and told no more times than seems bearable. What makes his story extraordinary is not just where he ended up, but how many times he was forced to start again. Long before red carpets and box office records, he was a man clinging to belief when circumstances offered none. His legacy endures because it is grounded in authenticity. Stallone didn't just play underdogs, he lived as one. Through discipline, belief, and relentless effort, he turned rejection into fuel. His story reminds us that success is rarely about talent alone. It's about staying committed when quitting feels like the most reasonable option. A challenging beginning that shaped his identity. Sylvester Stallone was born on July 6, 1946, under difficult circumstances that left him with partial facial paralysis. This condition affected his speech and appearance, making him stand out in ways that drew unwanted attention from an early age. Childhood was not gentle with him. His family life was unstable, and emotional support was often inconsistent. School became a battleground rather than a safe place, as peers mocked his speech and teachers misunderstood his behavior. These experiences planted feelings of isolation and self-doubt, but they also cultivated toughness. Instead of breaking his spirit, adversity quietly shaped his identity. Stallone learned early that life would not make things easy, and if he wanted respect, he would have to earn it himself. Those formative years, though painful, built the inner resilience that would later define both his career and his characters. Searching for direction. Amid early struggles. As a teenager, Stallone struggled to fit into traditional systems of education. His behavior was often misread as defiance when it was really frustration. After being expelled from several schools, he was sent to study abroad in Switzerland, an experience that left him deeply lonely and uncertain about his future. Far from home, he confronted feelings of insignificance and doubt, yet this period also became a turning point. It forced him to look inward and question who he wanted to become. Acting slowly emerged as a possible path, not because it was easy, but because it felt honest. Returning to the United States, Stallone carried little more than ambition and determination. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but for the first time, he had direction. That sense of purpose would later become his greatest strength. The harsh reality of chasing a dream. New York City in the late 1960s was unforgiving to aspiring actors, and Stallone experienced that reality firsthand. He attended auditions endlessly, only to be rejected because he didn't fit Hollywood's expectations. His appearance and speech were seen as liabilities rather than distinctions. To survive, he took physically demanding and humbling jobs, often unsure where his next opportunity would come from. These years tested his resolve more than talent ever could. There were moments when hope felt distant, yet Stallone refused to abandon his dream. He studied acting, wrote constantly, and absorbed life around him. Instead of resenting rejection, he used it as material. Those difficult years taught him patience, humility, and discipline. They also reinforced a powerful lesson. Dreams are not sustained by confidence alone, but by the willingness to endure uncertainty without losing belief. Inspiration that sparked a turning point. In 1975, Stallone watched a boxing match that would quietly change his life. The fight featured a lesser-known challenger who refused to give up against overwhelming odds. That image resonated deeply with Stallone because it mirrored his own struggle. Inspired, he began writing a screenplay fueled by everything he had endured: rejection, hunger, self-doubt, and stubborn hope. Over just a few days, he poured his heart into a story about an underdog boxer given one unlikely chance. The script wasn't just fiction, it was personal truth. Stallone didn't write Rocky to impress Hollywood. He wrote it to survive emotionally. Every page reflected his belief that perseverance matters more than perfection. That moment of inspiration became the bridge between years of struggle and the possibility of transformation. Betting everything on belief. When Stallone presented the Rocky script, studios recognized its potential, but they wanted a different actor in the lead role. The offers were tempting, especially for someone who had struggled financially for years. Yet Stallone refused to let go of the character he had created. He believed that authenticity mattered more than security. His decision wasn't driven by ego, but by conviction. Rocky was his story, and he knew no one else could tell it the same way. After intense negotiation, the studio agreed, on the condition of a modest budget and tight schedule. It was a risk, but Stallone accepted it without hesitation. That choice became one of the most defining moments of his life. It proved that sometimes the most important victories happen long before the spotlight appears. A film that changed everything. Rocky was filmed with limited resources but unlimited heart. The production was demanding, yet everyone involved understood they were creating something honest. Stallone's performance carried the weight of real experience, making the character feel deeply human. When the film premiered in 1976, it struck a nerve with audiences worldwide. Viewers didn't just watch Rocky, they saw themselves in him. The film became a massive success, earning critical acclaim and multiple Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Stallone's life transformed almost overnight. The man who had once been overlooked became a symbol of perseverance. Yet the most remarkable part of the success wasn't the fame, it was validation. Rocky proved that stories rooted in truth resonate the longest. Stallone had finally turned years of struggle into something meaningful and enduring. Building an era of iconic characters, the success of Rocky opened doors to an extraordinary period in Stallone's career. Sequels expanded the story while maintaining its emotional core, and audiences continued to connect with the character's journey. Around the same time, Stallone introduced another unforgettable figure, John Rambo. Unlike Rocky, Rambo was quiet, wounded, and shaped by trauma. The role revealed Stallone's range and depth as an actor and storyteller. These characters were not invincible heroes, they were survivors. During the 1980s, Stallone became one of the most recognizable faces in cinema, commanding massive box office numbers. Despite the scale of success, he remained grounded in the underdog mindset. His work reflected discipline and purpose rather than excess. This era cemented his place in film history and popular culture. Lessons that go beyond film. Sylvester Stallone's life offers lessons that extend far beyond cinema. His story teaches that persistence often matters more than talent, and belief matters more than approval. He shows that setbacks are not signals to stop, but invitations to adapt. Stallone never waited for perfect conditions. He worked with what he had. His journey encourages self-ownership, patience, and courage in the face of doubt. Every phase of his life reinforces the same truth. Progress is built through consistency, not comfort. Whether facing rejection, criticism, or change, he responded with effort rather than excuses. That mindset is what makes his story timeless. Stallone's legacy isn't defined by box office numbers alone. It's defined by the mindset he represents for anyone striving to rise despite long odds. A legacy rooted in authenticity. Today, Sylvester Stallone stands as more than a film icon. He represents the idea that authenticity creates endurance. His characters live on because they are reflections of real struggle, not fantasy perfection. Stallone's influence spans generations because his journey mirrors the human experience, filled with uncertainty, effort, loss, and renewal. He reminds us that success does not eliminate struggle. It simply changes its shape. What matters is how we respond. Through discipline, belief, and refusal to quit, Stallone carved a legacy grounded in resilience. His story reassures us that no beginning is too difficult and no setback is final. As long as there is purpose and effort, reinvention is always possible. That enduring spirit is why Sylvester Stallone's story continues to inspire.